Try the newest, cheapest, and fastest delivery na express service. Introducing Moto Express PH. You can now leave your shopping and delivery needs with us without much exposure and interaction to people outside. Mapa-grocery items, medicines, foods, and other essentials and halal certified products, kami na ang mamimili at maghahatid sa'yo. Sinisigurado na ligtas, in good and quality condition ang mga pabili o order sa delivery service na iyong i-avail. Para sa maayos at mabilis na delivery at order mo, ipamoto mo na. Download Moto Express PH app through Google Play that is built to deliver beyond your expectation. Tara na dito sa Moto Express. Dahil moto mo to.
Sa panahong marami sa atin ay biktima ng pandemya. Sa simpleng paraan, paano tayo makakapaghatid ng saya? Opo. Ano po, meron po akong delivery sa inyo? Magandang ano po. Pinapunta po ako ni Mariel dito. Kayo po ba si Chape? Opo, meron pong pinadala si Mariel na order po ninyo. Ito po yung order nyo. Tapos, ito po yung regalo po niya sa inyo.
Ay, thank you. Thank you.
Opo. Pwede pong papirmahan po lang po dito.
Pwede.
Opo. Opo. Maraming salamat daw po sa lagi niyong pag-order sa
Pwede ikaw yung na lang pumirma, parang autograph.
Maraming salamat.
Ay, sabi ko ba?
Opo. Lagi po kayong umu-order daw po sa kanya.
Actually, nag-start lang ako ng Father's Day and then nagustuhan ng mga anak ko.
Opo.
Sa sinundan ko na. Pero sa this time, syempre ang paborito ni Robin ang salpikaw at kapa ni Robin.
Hello, opo. Dito lang po, pakipirmahan lang po dito. Opo.
Dito lang po?
Opo, opo. Yan, opo.
Picture?
Opo, opo. Picture po tayo. Ako din po, magpipicture din po ako para proof ng ano, ng delivery po. Tataas ko lang po ito. Opo. Ako na po ma'am, para hindi po kayo mabigatan. Yan po. Yan. Maraming salamat po ma'am sa pagtangkilik niyo po kay Mariel. Opo.
Lagi ko akong mo-order nito, basta kuya ang magbibili.
Yes ma'am, opo, opo. Maraming salamat po. Salamat po, salamat po. Ulitin po ma'am, salamat po.
Thank you po.
Tawagan ko lang po si Mariel para makausap niyo.
Sige po.
Hello, babe. Ito na, na-deliver ko na kay Ma'am Cha. Ito na si Ma'am Cha.
Napakagandang surprise. Thank you po. Ay, thank you po. Mauulit po. Thank you
Apo.
din po. Thank you po sa gift. Thank you po.
Okay pa.
Yes. Yes, thank you rin po.
Opo.
Thank you po.
Salamat po ma'am, salamat po. Salamat, salamat, salamat po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po. Enjoy po, enjoy, enjoy. Thank you po, thank you po. Sa pamamagitan ng dekalidad na serbisyo, hangad ng Moto Express na makapaghatid ng ngiti sa bawat Pilipino. Tara na!
Are you craving for some milk tea and donuts but you're watching your diet? Good news! You can now enjoy a healthier and superbly delicious keto milk tea and donuts here at Winkle Milk Tea and Winkle Donut. has fewer calories, so it's good for the health and diet conscious and controlling weight. Why choose Winkle Milk Tea and Winkle Donut? The first halal certified milk Winkle Teas and Winkle Donut in the Philippines. The first healthy keto milk tea franchise in the Philippines. FDA approved. Uniquely infused milk tea flavors with high quality ingredients and premium taste. And if you want a healthy and refreshing franchise opportunity, a competitive healthy blended milk tea and donut franchise awaits you. We have business opportunity options you can choose from. Online seller, micro franchise, unit franchise, master franchise, international franchise. Order via our Facebook page, Winkle Tea and Winkle Donut, or contact 0995-551-4380 to experience this happiness in a box with your favorite Winkle Milk Tea and Winkle Donut.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to teach you on how to register in our platform. Firstly, you need to click www.ejasmine.com. This is how our platform interface looks like once you click www.ejasmine.com. As you can see, on the top right corner, click the login or register button. You will see two options, which is login button and register button. If you already have an account, just simply fill in your details. But if you does not have an account, click the register button and fill in your details requirement. If you are interested for becoming a vendor, you can click become a vendor button below. For vendor registration, you need to complete the details requirement. If you have halal certificate, you need to upload it on this section. Last but not least, once you have completed all the detail requirements, just click the register button. Thank you.
Good morning mga kaguro. Okay, so ako pa rin naman po ito, no? Maria Teresa Malco po. Ciao Bella for today. It's August 14, dito sa Teachers Bureau. Okay, so for today po, what we are going to talk about is about benchmarking. As we all know, yung pong mga nakakaalam, of course, mga kapwa ko kaguro, mga kapwa ko professionals in the industry, hindi naman po lahat ng tinatawag nating theories applies. Okay? So, yung mga theories po are just guide, of course, for us to be able to, especially when it comes to research, okay? Especially when it comes to research, kasi yan po ang pinaka-importante sa lahat sa research is the what we call theories. But it doesn't mean ang theories applies to all concepts when we talk about business. Okay, so we have these classical or philosophical principles, even before way back, Plato, Aristotle, etc., the theories of management, 101, mga ganyan po. So, lahat po yan ay guide. And one of the best thing in the industry that we should all know when it comes to business is not only the theories. Of course, the theories, as I've said, these are guides. And the best thing that we can, of course, adopt is what we call benchmarking. Okay po? So, very important po ang benchmarking when it comes to business. After po ng ating session for today, I will try for the whole week after this Saturday, I will try from Sunday up to Friday to ask around and see if they know benchmarking, yung pong mga mga nagbe-business atin sa industry. So we will try if this is being applied in the industry. Okay, so but for today, we are going to talk about it, and I'm just going to share a video with you. And then afterwards, I will be sharing my own inputs, my own experiences when it comes to, of course, benchmarking. Ayan po. Okay, so sa mga estudyante ko, good morning. I hope na ito pong ating Teachers Bureau, even though tapos na ang klase natin sa senior high school, I hope through this, I can still help you, especially you when you are, of course, deciding to go to college. Ayan. And if you want to have your own business, of course, ang pinag-uusapan dito is all about business. So, still, even though tapos na ang ating ugnayan as teacher, student in Antipolo City Senior High School, hi! Okay, so ayan, sabi daw po, Bad Boy Robin Padilla, magandang umaga daw. Sabi ni Ray Carr. Ayan, thank you Ray Carr. Magandang umaga. Ayan. Thank you, Raycar, sa iyong pagbati kay Sir Robin. Nakita mo siya kanina, no, sa Moto Express. Ayan. And, of course, good morning sa iyo. Okay. Thank you for accessing this and saying hi to Robin through my program. Ayan. So, as I've said, ayan nga po, mga students, kahit natapos na ang ating ugnayan bilang teacher students sa Antipolo City Senior High School, tayo ako ay gusto ko pa ring makatulong sa inyo in my own way. Ayan po. Of course, I am a teacher and the information that I can, of course, 100% give you is information. Okay? The correct, valid information. Okay, so ayan po. So now, I'm going to share my slide or my video with you. This is not actually my video. One of the seminars that I attended, very generous na nagbibigay po ng mga videos. And you can find this on YouTube also. Very generous po silang magbigay at mag-share ng kanilang mga videos. So ayan po. Let us watch this and learn something, and then afterwards, as I've said, I'm going to, of course, give my inputs in this topic for today. Okay, saglit lamang po.
To make their product a success. One such method they follow.
Okay, pasensya na po. Okay, so ito na po ang ating benchmarking concept that we would like to talk about for today. But of course, before that, I would like to share you a video on this. Okay, so later on po, babalik po ako para magbigay po ng konting inputs. Thank you.
Different industries follow different methodologies to make their product a success. One such method they follow is this benchmarking, which is one of the most widely used tool across the business strategy tools used across industries. So this video will talk about what is benchmarking, why benchmarking is important, the typical process of benchmarking, different types of benchmarking which are used across industries, and some common advantages and disadvantages of benchmarking. So without wasting any further time, let's start our today's topic on benchmarking. So what is benchmarking? Benchmarking is a process of comparing your own organization, its operations, processes against the best in the industry. The dimensions that are typically measured during benchmarking include time, cost, and quality. Typically, we should have all these things, that is a good, cheap, and fast. That is a good product, cheap product, and the fast product. But that is not practically possible. So we will stick to either good or cheap or good or fast. The intent here is to generate ideas for improving the process. Generate ideas to reduce the cost and increase the profit, and reduce and strengthen the customer loyalty and satisfaction. Simply put together, a benchmarking is a process of obtaining a measure called benchmark. These measurement don't have much value on their own. That is, the data needs to be compared against some sort of standard, that is the benchmark. For example, suppose it takes 30 minutes to produce your own product. So is the 30-minute measurement good or bad? The only way for you to know is to compare against the other data, such as the time it takes the other organization to produce a similar product. If the other organization can produce the same type of product in less than 30 minutes, then you can use the time as a benchmark for measuring your own process and procedures. Simply put together, benchmarks are the what's and benchmarking is the how. So benchmarking can be applied against any product, process, function, or an approach in any business. Let us now understand the process of benchmarking. Benchmarking is not an immediate solution to your problem. Instead, it is a step-by-step treatment of your problem areas. Let us understand this process of benchmarking step by step. The first step is select the process to benchmark. That means that is the first step to identify which benchmarking indicators are fundamental to your business. Here you will be dedicating a lot of time and effort and improving them. So it is prudent to prioritize based on what is important to your stakeholders here. This will define the scope of your benchmarking. So you might end up selecting one or two critical indicators. Determine who do you want to benchmark against. That is, whether you want to benchmark against a competitor, a company outside the industry, or within the company. So you can prepare a list of those potential businesses against which matches your scope that you have defined in the step 1. You can also benchmark against your own company past processes. Next is to determine your current process. This will help you specify which areas needs improvement. It will also make it easier to examine and compare them against the competitors or the internal past processes as required. Next step is to collect and analyze the data. You can start the research on your competitors' best practices through formal interviews, informal interviews, and questionnaires. You can also acquire information through websites, blogs, public reports, marketing materials, and new articles. After you complete your research, you can begin analyzing this data that you have collected. So once you have collected and analyzed the data, it is time to now to create a plan. So after you have analyzed your processes against the competitors, you need to identify what needs to be amended to close the performance gap with the competitor. Then you need to create a plan to implement those changes. The plan should not only cover any gaps that you have identified with respect to competitors, but also an opportunity to brainstorm the measures that are required to get ahead of competition. So once we have created this plan, it is time to implement the changes. After implementation, monitor the changes employees' performance thoroughly over the period of specified time. If there are new processes being introduced, make sure your staff is well trained and have an expertise to complete their task. Identify any changes that needs to be made to plan to successfully implement this process. And then we have to repeat this process. That is, after you have successfully implemented this new process, you have to repeat the process. If any modification is needed, you can tweak your initial plan and implement them again. Otherwise, consult your initial list of those which needs to be benchmarked. So it is not an ending process. So it is a continuous process. That means you constantly evaluate your processes and benchmark them against the best that will allow you not only to improve again and again, but also to overshadow your competitors. Types of benchmarking. Typically, they are of two categories: internal benchmarking and external benchmarking. Internal benchmarking is like comparing the performance between the different groups or teams within the organization. And external benchmarking is like comparing the performance with different companies or across industries. Within these broad categories, there are other specific categories of benchmarking, which are like process benchmarking, product benchmarking, competitive benchmarking, strategic benchmarking, and performance benchmarking. Process benchmarking. So process benchmarking is done by collecting information about the other company's strategies, their processes through research, visiting their website, through their workshop conducted by other companies. Next is the product benchmarking, which is nothing but based on the reverse engineering concept. That is, here an organization would purchase some competitor's product, break it down into pieces to know their various features and the performance ability. By this, they would improve their own product by analyzing the basic working mechanism of other product in the market. Competitive benchmarking. So competitive benchmarking is used when the company wants to evaluate its position within its industry. In addition, competitive benchmarking is used when a company needs to identify industry leadership performance targets. Strategic benchmarking. So strategic benchmarking, in this case, they would compare the winning strategies of companies in the marketplace. It is used when identifying and analyzing the world-class performance here. And finally, we have the performance benchmarking. So in performance benchmarking, it allows the initiator firm to access their competitive positions by comparing product and services with those of the target firms. So these are the types of benchmarking we can talk about. Let us look at some typical advantages and disadvantages of benchmarking. The first advantage that we have is the competitive analysis. It helps company to design its strategy efficiently. Monitor performance. It helps the company to look at the current trends in the market. Continuous improvement. It helps company to create an overall quality of output and reduce the chance of error due to the standardization of the business operations. Helps in improving the overall efficiency. It encourages the ownership between the employees. And last but not the least is understanding your company advantages. That means we can do a SWOT analysis to understand what is the strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. So this benchmarking basically helps in identifying where your company is right now compared to where you want to go. So if you're looking at improving any process in your business, benchmarking is a way of looking at add and improve your process. Even though these are some very good advantages of benchmarking, but we do have some disadvantages as well. High cost. So it requires a team of experienced persons who have excellent analytical skills and expertise in this area. That means you need to hire guys who are more experienced in performing these tools. Overall, it leads to increased administrative costs and expenses to the company. Even the implementation of this benchmarking would require some capital expenditure at some times. It is just a mere suggestion. That means benchmarking only suggests you to improve on weak factors. Everything is pure suggestion here and does not give you any straight answers for your issues. Some of the best practices won't be applicable to the whole organization. Incorrect comparison. It demands a comparison between two or more companies belonging to the same industry and compete with each other. But sometimes the companies make irrelevant comparison, resulting in a poor benchmarking. So benchmarking fails when it is not properly implemented. Some organizations don't understand the actual purpose of this strategy and start copying their competitors in every aspect. Results shown are just mere numbers. That means the result comparison or the profit rate of other organizations are just mere numbers. This simply implies that it will help you look at the outer but nothing deep into the business strategy of other organizations. Benchmarking only produces rough data, and it is not only the team or the board members who have to consider it, but the whole team has to work on this thing.
Okay, so that is our let us remove. Okay, so that's it. So have you learned something from the benchmarking? Anyway, of course, you cannot answer me, but I am going to have some inputs on this. But I do hope that you learned something from that video. That video is very helpful because it was able to discuss in brief what is benchmarking all about, what is the disadvantages, the advantages, and what is it really. Okay, so if we are going to base our discussion on that particular video, what is benchmarking? Well, benchmarking merely, of course, it improves processes. Okay, very, very, very common yan when it comes to benchmarking. Ang kinukuha naman talaga natin when we do benchmarking is the process. First and foremost, it's really the process. So, and especially we do this with our competitor. Ang hindi lang nabanggit sa video kanina is that when we do benchmarking, we should identify who our competitors, direct competitors, not the indirect, because we have two kinds of competitors, the direct and the indirect competitors. So what we should understand and of course identify as a company or as an entrepreneur, we should identify who or which of the many companies, many products in the industry. Actually, hindi naman talaga usually companies ang competitors. Here in the Philippines, ang classic example ng competitors, company as a whole, ang competition is Jollibee and of course McDonald's. But there is this thing also of competition between products, not necessarily the company itself. Pwede kasing merong certain products lang na ino-offer sila na in competition with yours. But the whole process or the whole company is not in competition with that company in the industry. So ganun po 'yon. So yun ay mga consideration when we want to really identify and decipher who our competitors are or which product is in competition with ours. So ayan po. So but most of all, of course, when we talk about benchmarking, ang madalas po talagang tinitingnan diyan is of course the process. What are the processes na magaganda, okay, and incongruent to ours? Especially if we are, of course, building our own business, tinitingnan natin kung sino yung possible nating maging direct competitor. Yung kaparehas ng proseso na nasa isip mo, yung kaparehas ng business model na meron ka, na gusto mong, of course, um, na gusto mong i-implement sa business mo. Okay, iba pang discussion yung sa business model. Ano po? Basta kung ano po yung business na meron ka, yun ang titingnan mo. Sino kaya yung kaparehas ng sayo? Yun yung ibe-benchmark mo. You don't pick any company to benchmark. Kasi kapag ginawa mo yon, baka mali yung process, mali yung procedure, mali yung magiging standard. Kasi hindi naman siya indirect competition with yours. And aside from that, pag sinabi natin kasi rin na benchmarking and we are looking into the process, ma'am, ginagaya po ba natin yun? Well, let me put it this way. Nung bata tayo, di ba? Nung bata pa tayo, wala tayong sarili nating identity, of course. While we are growing up, we have this idol. Meron tayong mga idol. Meron tayong mga tao na we look up to, na gusto natin, na ginagaya natin, di ba? And eventually, as we grow older, we find our own personality in the process of modeling someone. Ito yung mga idol natin. So in the process, makikita mo na, mas okay, mas talented pala ako sa kanya. Mas may alam pala ako sa kanya sa ganito. In the process of doing that, in the process of doing that, marirealize mo sa sarili mo na ito pa yung mga strength and weaknesses ko. So pag mas kilala mo na yung sarili mo, mas nakaka-create ka ng sarili mong personality. So i-align natin with benchmarking. The concept of benchmarking is actually similar when we idolize people when we were young. Okay, so we do benchmarking by doing that. So bini-benchmark natin yung pananamit nila hanggang sa ma-realize natin na ay hindi pala bagay sa akin, ay mas bagay pala sa akin to. Unti-unti, in the process of discovering yourself by modeling someone, na-identify mo yung sarili mong proseso, sarili mong identity as a person. And that's the same with benchmarking. Okay, so when we do benchmarking, nakikita na natin yung sarili nating process. In the process, in the conduct, ayun, ginamit ko tuloy yung word the same. Dapat hindi yun redundant, mali yun ha. So in the conduct of doing the benchmarking, we now discover our own processes. Kasi processes are very unique in every company. No two companies are alike. Kahit parehas pa sila ng product. Kahit parehas pa sila ng setup. Kahit parehas pa sila ng business model. Kaya nga 'di ba meron tayong tinatawag na specialty. Yan. So pag uupo ka, pupunta ka sa isang restaurant, ikaw as a customer, ang una mong tanong, ano ba specialty nila dito? Tatanungin mo yung waiter, what is your specialty? Ano po yung madalas orderin? Although kaparehas niya yung isang company or yung isang business across the across the place where you are dining in, for example. Kahit parehas sila ng ino-offer na product, magkaiba sila ng specialty. Kasi there is no really two companies or two product that is exactly the same. May aangat at aangat dyan, depende sa preference ng tao. So preferences of people is really very important. And that is one of the reason why we do benchmarking. Kasi we would want to know the preferences of the customer itself. Ayan. Okay, so improve processes. Yan po ang number 1. And then we reduce cost, increase profit. When we do benchmarking, we want to reduce the profit. Kaya tayo nagbe-benchmark, tinitingnan natin yung proseso ng competitors natin. Kung ito yung proseso nila, kung sa tingin mo, ikaw kasi yung nagbe-business, sa tingin mo, magastos to, hindi ko kakayanin. So ano ang possible mong way para mapababa mo yung cost? Pero hindi nagsasuffer ang quality. Okay? And then of course, in the process, you increase your profit. Diba? By doing that, nakikita mo yun sa iba, parang ang mahal naman, pero pwede namang mapababa yung cost na to. Makakakita ka ng ways on how to do that. Nasa process mo yun. Of course, procurement, checking your, what you call this, mga possible na clients where you can get your raw materials. I forgot the term. There's a term for that. So, when you do that in the process, malalaman mo na you can lower the cost kasi may nag-o-offer ng mas mura. Or pwede rin na ikaw mismo ang mag-produce kung kaya mo para mas mura ka sa market at hindi ka na wala nang middleman. Okay, hindi na magkakaroon ng middleman between you and the customer. Para hindi mo na siya ipapatong pa doon sa cost. So pwede yun, maraming ways. Ikaw as an entrepreneur, you will find your own way. The purpose of this video is not to, of course, to tell you what to do. Maraming ways on doing that, and you will discover it in the conduct of doing business. And of course, increase profit, di ba? Pag nakakuha ka na ng mas supplier, ayun, now I remember. So kapag meron ka ng supplier na mas mababang makakapagbigay sa iyo ng cost, or if you can do it on your own, then you can lower the cost and increase the profit in the process. And of course, customer loyalty and satisfaction. Kaya tayo nagbe-benchmark because we want our customer to be loyal. And and if we want them to be loyal, of course, we have to give them the best satisfaction ever when they get to experience the service and the product that we offer. Ayan po. And then what else? What to benchmark? Ayan. So let's discuss further. What to benchmark? Of course, we want to benchmark the cost. What is the cost of the competitors against the cost that we want to give to our customers? Kung minsan mapapansin ninyo, ma'am, hindi naman naglo-lower cost yung iba. Karamihan naman ng mga parehas ng business sa isang area or sa isang retail trade area, the RTA that we call it, halos pare-parehas naman ang kanilang mga presyo. So, paano nabe-benchmark ang cost? Ayan. Hindi naman presyo lang ang bine-benchmark. Hindi naman ibig sabihin, bine-benchmark ang cost, pero hindi ibig sabihin na cost lang ang pwede mong tutukan. Ayan. So kung mapapansin mo, in a retail trade area, for example, here in Kogyo, Antipolo, dito sa may CMA, marami dyan magkakaparehas ng negosyo when it comes to yung mga sa cellphones, ganyan. Paano sila nagkakaiba-iba when it comes to cost? It's not really the cost itself. Kasi pag pumunta ka dun sa kabila, pare-parehas lang naman talaga. Almost the same. Pero saan sila bumabawi? Sa tingin nyo saan? Sige nga, kahit hindi ko kayo naririnig. Di ba? Saan? Doon po sa tinatawag nating freebies or discounts. Marami silang pwedeng gawin to lower the cost. We're not talking about the cost itself. Let's say for example, yung presyo ng cellphone. Hindi naman cellphone ang pinabababa na presyo. If it's 24,000 for example, 24,000 yan kahit saan ka magpunta sa mall. Pero ano yung lower cost na tinatawag natin doon? It's the freebies. May mga magbibigay sa'yo na freebies along with the purchase of the cellphone. So in effect, you as a customer, you would realize na, ay, bongga, di ba? Nakakuha ako ng cellphone, nakabili ako ng cellphone, binigyan ako ng headset. Umikot-ikot-ikot kasi ako, siya lang ang nagbibigay ng headset. Does it lower your cost? Yes, kasi hindi ka nabibili ng headset. Di ba? Does it lower your cost kung binigyan ka nila ng free na tawag dito na, anong tawag doon? Hindi headset ba tawag doon? Okay, so headset at saka of course, mali ako. I'm thinking of a micro parang siguro SIM or a USB, di ba? Pen drives. Pag binigyan ka niyan, does it lower your cost? Yes. Kasi hindi mo nabibilhin. Di ba? Kahit gaano kaliit pa yung gigabytes niyan or whatsoever, at least it can give you a storage for the meantime until such time na makakabili ka ng mas bigger, lalo na kapag wala sa budget yung kailangan mong bilhin. Ako ganun ako pag customer eh. Ang number one na tinitingnan ko is always the cost. Yung cost, not the cost itself, but the freebies that I can get out of it. Lalo na pag kailangan ko yung freebies na yun. Ay, sabi ko sa'yo, talagang kung nasan man siya, okay, kung sino mang dealer yon, doon ako talaga bumibili. Kasi that lowers my cost in general. And also, the KPI, the Key Performance Indicator. Ano ba ang key performance indicator ng company mo? How would you measure your success? Okay, so nabe-benchmark yan by looking into your competitors. And then of course, the process, kasasabi lang natin kanina, and you would be creating, of course, a better strategy na hindi naisip ng competitors mo. Okay, so that's how good benchmarking is. And let's not forget, of course, yung binanggit din kanina, nakita naman yun doon, Pag benchmarking, we select, that is the process, that's the first. When we do benchmarking, we select all the information that we need, and then we determine the information that is necessary for us, and then document those information, collect, and then create your strategy. And then afterwards, after creating, you implement. Okay? Sa creation po, you create your plan. Of course, there should be what we call planning procedures. So it's really very important that you have a plan. Kahit gaano kaliit ang negosyo, there should be a plan. So mga estudyante, kahit gaano kaliit ang negosyo mo na gusto mong buksan, tandaan mo ang entrepreneurship class natin. Hindi kailangang big time planning ang pinag-uusapan dito. At least you know the concept of planning, because planning is really very important. If you plan to fail, don't if you plan to fail, don't plan. Ganun lang kasimple 'yon. Kasi pag gusto mong maging tawag dito, pag gusto mong mag-fail sa kahit na anong gusto mong gawin, huwag kang magplano. Ganun lang kasimple. Diba? And then implement what you have planned, kasi baliwala ang plano kung walang implementation. And then repeat the process if necessary. Ayan po. Okay po. So sana po meron akong naitulong sa inyo for today's topic. And sana ang aking mga estudyante, kahit pa paano, ay kung nanonood kayo ngayon, I have shared you the link. Okay, so dire-diretso lang po tayo because this is Teachers Bureau from what it implies. Of course, teacher. So most of the time, I'll be a teacher still with you, even though tapos na ang ating relationship sa Antipolo City Senior High School. But the relationship can still continue here, and I can still help you with whatever things that you want to discuss on. Actually, you can comment sa chat box and then ask me anything para next time. That can be the topic that I can share with you and of course, discuss here with you. Okay po? So thank you very much mga kaguro, mga kastudyante. I'll see you again next Saturday. I hope that I was able to provide something for you. Okay? And remember po, kung ano man po ang sinabi ko sa inyo dito, it doesn't mean yun na yun. You can still research on. And marami pa po akong hindi nasabi because I am very limited with time. Okay, so sa lahat po ng ating endeavor when it comes to information, of course, we know the basic, and we know if that information is correct. And if we want to know more, let's do research. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much po, and good morning pa. Good morning pa rin po sa ating lahat. Okay, goodbye. Ciao, Bella!